As they often say, it never rains but what it pours. Working on this tile project, and I had something happen to me that has never happened to me before in a tile project. And maybe I had some of this before, but because of the layout of the room, it didn't matter, it didn't show up. But because of the dimensions I have to hit with this tile job, suddenly I've got a problem. Things are not lining up. So stick around and take a look at what went wrong and what I had to do to fix it. Let's get started. There I was, ready to continue laying tile. I had the starter row laid, and it was time to start working on the field tile. And before I did, I made a check to make sure I came out with my critical line on the other end, and it didn't. In the previous video, when I laid this row of tile towards the end of the video, I did it along a mark that I made here based on where the row of tile came out down here from that very critical line where the tile has to line up with a mark on the door so everything comes out and lines up with the other room, so the grout lines are in order. So, started from there, set the tile in place with spacers. I got down to here. That's where I made my mark, where I was just one full tile and a cut tile short of hitting the brick wall over here for the fireplace. Rather than go with a tape measure dimension of X number of feet, got that line marked, laid the tile, figured, great, I'm all set. It's all lined up, I checked it, looks great. I came back now after the tile is set up, cleaned it up a little bit, and I took my spacers and I grabbed some more tile, this time from a different box because the tile that I had out before, which happened to be more of the smaller tile, got laid over here. So as I grabbed new tile, I apparently must have grabbed more of the wider tile, and I'm a ½ inch past the line down on that end. And that's where I discovered the problem, and that's why I started digging into this dimension issue. Because this tile is already stuck down, I can't move that unless I break all the tile. So let's see what I had to figure out here to solve this dilemma so I can continue to lay tile. As I got started, I noticed that I was getting different widths of tile. I started out with a couple of boxes off from the top. They must have been the last ones that I brought in, and I did some measuring, and even in an earlier video I showed where they came out to 11 and 13/16 at a 3/16 spacer, and bingo, you've got 12 inches. And that was working out great. Well, then as I got going and started getting some other boxes, I saw they were from a different lot. Now, I had asked at the store, does it matter if I get a mixed lot, if I get a couple of boxes, because they had another set of tile there that looked like it had a couple of different lot numbers, and they said, well, the color could be a bit different, the shading, but not much. And I figured, well, over a project this big, a box here and there, mixed in with this tile, you won't notice it. If you laid them in blocks, you might see it, but if you spread them out, it probably wouldn't matter. So, okay, no big deal. Well, as I got going, I discovered that there was a huge, huge difference in the widths of these tiles. These tile here on the end are 11 and 13/16. That's what I started out with. Those are the ones that have the most out of them, and I was doing some of the layout work with. The ones in the middle are 11 and 3/4 inches or 11 and 12/16. And as it turns out, I've only got a couple of those. And then here on the end, the other half of the tile is a tile that is 11 and 11/16 inches. Well, that's quite a bit of difference between that row and this row. And that's what I show over here. When I lay these tiles out, or put a level on the end, a straight mark, and take my tape measure and check. Let's take a look at that. So with 3 different sizes of tile laid out on the floor, with the widest tile over here, the 11 and 13/16, the 11 and 3/4 in the center, and the 11 and 11/16 on this side, evened up on that end, run side by side. The inch and 11/16 tile over a span of 6 tiles is 3/4 of an inch shorter than 6 of the 11 and 13/16 inch tiles, which stands to reason if you do the math. So the one in the middle is a 1/2 inch shorter over a span of 6. Because I only have 2 boxes of this 1 3/4 tile, I can deal with working those into the system. I have probably 1/2 and 1/2 split between these and the 11 and 13/16 inch tiles. So this is going to be an interesting process to get this all mixed in so everything comes out the way it's supposed to. So there you go. That's a little word of warning when you're buying tile and they're telling you it's different lots, and that's what we were faced with because they had a stack of them there. We took what they had. There was some left on the bottom that were a completely different stock. We left those, and this is what we have. Fortunately, the tile for the other room, when we bought that, they had all of the boxes we need, 22 boxes as a matter of fact, all in the same lot. I won't have this problem over there, but I've got an interesting dilemma started for myself here. I replaced some tiles along here. I knew that I needed to take a 1/2 inch, which is 8/16, out of the whole run from this end down to that end. So I targeted 4 of the wide tiles, pull them out, and try to replace them with the 11/16 inch tiles. And I did that along the way, but I had to take out another 1/8 of an inch, 2/16 of an inch, because at the very end up here was a short tile. It was an 11/16, and the rest of the tiles going over to the doorway are the wide tiles. Dropping one of those in, now I gain another 1/8 of an inch, 2/16, so I had to compensate for that, and that's what ends up giving me the 1/2 inch I needed to bring this in. So now I am along this line where I need to be. What I've done is I have written by each tile what the width of that tile is. So as I start laying tile, that's what I'm going to go for. Now, because some are narrower, I'm going to have to make some on-the-fly adjustments on the width here to the grout line. So on the smaller tiles, I'm going to have to make it just a little bit wider than that 3/16 space. And on the wide tiles, I can stick with the spacers that I'm using, the 3/16 spacers. So after fiddling around with different size of tiles, trying to line them up with the tiles going end to end on the room and the ones I already had installed down here, and to try to get grout lines to line up so they look like something, I wasn't coming up with any good combination. Now maybe if I was a professional tile installer, I could have had the patience or the knowledge to make that all come out, look right, but I'm only going to do this floor one time and I want it to look nice. I just want to use the spacers. I want the grout lines to flow together, so I threw in the towel and decided it was time to just get some different tile. I got on the phone, checked around, went to the store, checked with the other store at another location, and we finally got another full batch of tiles to match one of the other lot numbers we have here, so that every tile I put down is the same size, and it's just going to make everything so much easier. We hopped in the vehicle, we drove to the store, we loaded up, brought it home, and got these old tile up. They still weren't set too awfully hard yet, and as a matter of fact, some of the tile I got up, I'm going to be able to salvage and use it for edge pieces by cleaning it up with vinegar to get the remaining mortar off from each tile. So I'm back to square one. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to still follow the same basic premise I had in the first place, and that's get set up so I can start on this end of the room and work my way back towards the open doors. I don't want to start up on this end and get myself trapped in the back. But the change I'm going to make this time is I've got these tile laid out. Now they all being the same size, I'm going to get this one glued down with the thin set. And when I get to the end, then I'm going to start working a row across the room and bring that whole group of tile up to this end, and then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do the same thing, start with this back row and bring it out to the end where I can come out the door. But by getting this glued down first, stuck down first. This is the most important section right here because I don't have any give up on this end. It's got to line up with those lines to line up with the door. So if I drift just a little bit coming down here on this end, it really doesn't matter. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get these laid. So the next time we come back, the field tiles should all be in place, and then we can focus our attention to cutting the edge tiles and getting those installed and getting this floor grouted and get it done. If you've enjoyed watching this video, probably getting a chuckle out of it because this was a big goof up on my part, or at least an oversight on my part, but by showing you this, hopefully if you get into a similar situation, you'll know what to do to fix it or to avoid it. So, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed it, please click like and consider subscribing to our channel. Keep your eyes open for the next video when we hopefully have this floor just about done. So until next time, enjoy your projects and take care.